Today I'd like to show you and actually give you a step-by-step on how to make a delicious cheesecake, and it's called Licious. It's made with cream cheese and sour cream, and it's a New York style cheesecake that everyone loves. So of course when you bake you have to be very organized, and it took me quite some time to get organized myself, but having all the ingredients put aside and measured makes your life so much easier. So with the cheesecake, of course, you can have one with a crust or one without a crust. I choose to put one with a crust, and it's very important that you do that first and foremost. So after you put all your ingredients together according to the recipe on a tray, you have everything at your fingertips, and it's a lot easier for you to review the recipe and put it together. So the first thing we're going to do is make the crust. So the crust is made with graham cracker crumbs, and you put about 1 cup of graham cracker crumbs in a frying pan. But prior to that, you put half a stick of butter, and you put the crumbs in the frying pan, and then we use pecans, and you chop up the pecans and you put them in the frying pan with the graham cracker crumbs. Now I buy the graham cracker crumbs already chopped up and pulverized because it makes life so much easier. Now I do put like a half a stick of butter, sweet butter, in the frying pan, and then I put the whole mixture on the stove, and it gets toasted. So when it gets toasted, I put it in the refrigerator, in the freezer, and I'll show you as I speak that I have already prepared one, and this is what it looks like, and this is the crust. Okay, so now we already got the crust, and because it was in the freezer for about 10 minutes, when you pour in your liquid, all the graham cracker crumbs will stay in place. So that's a very important point. Have your crust made first, freeze it for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then just set it aside. Again, you put about a cup or more of the graham cracker crumbs, and you put in as many pecans as you like. You can also use almonds. I chop them up. And I do put about a tablespoon of sugar and a dash of cinnamon in this mixture. And then on the stove, I toast it, and then I place it into the pan, and then I put it in the freezer. Now, this is a mix-up, as we all know, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to beat the eggs and add the sugar. And what I do is I actually put things in two separate bowls for the dry and the cream cheese and the sugar and the eggs, and then I combine them. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So we have this mixer here. Whoops, sorry. I'm going to pick it up, and we put the eggs. This recipe calls for 6 eggs. So we put the eggs in a bowl. I put them all together, and then as I whip them, I put them in one at a time. But for me to crack them and put them in the bowl one by one is a little cumbersome. So I like to put them all in the bowl. It's just something that I got used to doing, and it seems to work for me, so maybe it would work for you too. It's important to have all your ingredients at room temperature too. You know, the more that you do this, I guess the more proficient you get in knowing what works for you. Now I have my 6 eggs in this bowl, and then I have, according to the recipe, 1.25 cups of sugar. So what I do is I put the mixer down, lock it up, right, lock it up, all right, and then place it. And then, all right, and then I just get this, whoops, very carefully. I put 1 egg in at a time, and I mix it. Okay. And that gets mixed up. And while that's beating up, we add a little sugar. So it's a nice consistency, a little at a time. It's important to put 1 egg in at a time. It seems to make a difference in the custard of the cheesecake. Okay, so now that's all mixed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this off now, and then I'll work on the cream cheese and the sour cream and the vanilla. And then what we do is we mix this container, this container into the larger container, and that's our mixture. Making cheesecake is really very simple once you get it down to the ingredients and you really learn how to portion control and add it to your mixture here. So, you know, it's really not that difficult. The problem with the cheesecakes is that it takes a lot of patience. You have to cook it for a few hours at a very low temperature, and also then you have to leave it in the oven for another hour with the door open, and then you have to take it out of the oven and you have to leave it at room temperature for a few more hours before you put it in the refrigerator. So mixing it isn't the biggest chore. It's the patience of baking it for maybe 2 hours at a low temperature. It's usually 300 or 325. They tell you on the recipe, which we will print for you, you're welcome to have it, use 350. But if you do some research, you find out most cheesecakes are baked at a very low temperature and take hours to cook. So you have to have a lot of patience with cheesecake. And but if you do it right, it tastes delicious. It's the American dream, apple pie and cheesecake. We all love cheesecake. So I'm going to pick this up now, okay? And I'm going to take this off. Just put this here in case it doesn't drip. And now in here, I have 4 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. I usually buy them in the supermarket. You can go to Costco and buy it by bulk and just use the weight that you need. You need 4 packages of this. So that's it's 2 pounds. It's a lot of cream cheese. And what you do is, this particular cheesecake makes about 16 or more portions. So you really get a lot for the 4 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. You should leave your cream cheese out at room temperature at least an hour before you're ready to whip it, because it'll be creamier and everything will blend so much nicely. Alright, I'm trying to open this. I just wanted to show you the package. And we have the other 3 in the container here. And we are going to put this in here. Okay. So now in here goes the 4 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. And then we have 16 ounces of sour cream. And of course, when you're eating cheesecake, you don't have to worry about low fat because the richer the better, it's creamier. And a teaspoon of vanilla. You know, if you watch the Rachel Ray show, she doesn't measure anymore. She just goes ahead and dashes it here and there, but we're going to measure it this time. This is a teaspoon. And you use pure vanilla. which is so much more flavorful than the other vanilla. So you use that, okay? So now I'm gonna mix this first, and then I'm gonna add my sour cream. Okay. Okay, with the sour cream, we put 1 stick of unsweetened butter. Okay. Just shut this off. Put the whole one, and it's at room temperature because it's extremely soft and it'll just blend. Alright. You use 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Going. And then you gradually add the sour cream. And of course you shut it off at intervals and get the sides in the middle so that everything gets blended and you don't have any chunks in the sour cream, in the cream cheese. Now, some people might want a stronger vanilla taste. You can always increase the vanilla another 1/4 ounce and make it 1 1/2. It's up to your taste, all right? So I'm going to make this go a little faster so we mix this good. And I'm just going to pick it up. Like I said, you can see how some of it is still kind of solid. And that's because we didn't add the egg yet, and we're going to be doing that very shortly. And this will become very creamy and delicious. You pick the bottom and you make sure that everything gets mixed up. Okay, there we go. We go again. Do this again. Making a cheesecake and bringing it to somebody's house is always a hit. Even though it takes so much time for you to bake it, you find that people really love cheesecake. Now, cheesecake comes in many different forms these days. There's chocolate cheesecake, there's chocolate and vanilla cheesecake, and just all kinds of different cheesecakes. And you could really be very creative when you're making a cheesecake. It might be just adding some fruit to it or preserve. And as you start making cheesecakes, you become more creative. So I'm doing this now for well, I've been baking cheesecakes forever, but I've been doing it, you know, as commercially, I would say, you know, for the last year. And it's amazing the passion people have for cheesecake. Sometimes I surprise myself. I just really feel that how many cheesecake can one family eat? But we have a few clients that for every holiday, for every ball game, for every card game, they order cheesecake. So now I'm adding the sugar and the egg, and it's really coming really very, very creamy, which is great. Instead of using different bowls, I find using the 2 bowls that are attached to this mixer is so important, because if I used a separate bowl to mix it by hand, I would have something else to clean. I don't have something else to clean. I just have 2 bowls. Now I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to do the you know, mix it to make sure that everything is off the bottom and that it's mixed up very, very good. Okay, I have a bunch of ladies who help me bake. They're very eager to make cheesecakes for me because of the time it takes to do a cheesecake. If somebody wanted a few cheesecakes for a holiday party, it would probably take hours. So if I have a few ladies that want to make cakes for me, it just makes the world a difference. And they follow the recipe to a T, and we deliver them. Or they can pick them up. But it's a lot of fun when you created something and people really enjoy it. It makes you feel good. Okay, just a little bit more. Now, when this gets poured in there and it goes into the oven, the sour cream and the cream cheese sort of melt and make a custard. They make a cheesecake. That's what the cheesecake is all about. It all blends. And you really can't mix this too much. The more you mix it, the creamier it gets. Okay? Now, I'm going to pour this into the pan. And this pan is a spring pan, so that you know. All right, and it has a latch here, so that when it's cooked, you get a knife and you cut all around it and make sure that everything is pulled away from the side. You don't have to grease this at all. And you pour this inside, and it works out really well. And when it's finished, after you've put the knife all around and loosened it, even when it's warm, you release it. Because if you don't, then it starts to stick. So you don't want that. I forgot one item, the lemon. Okay, I'm going to get that right now. Now I use this lemon. You could use fresh lemon. But this lemon is so great, I don't have to squeeze it, I don't have to cut it, you know. And you put a teaspoon of lemon. It just gives it a little kick. And yeah, it's one teaspoon. We don't want to make a mistake here. 1 teaspoon of lemon. And we'll put this back, and we're almost ready to put it in the roasting pan. Now you have your oven heating up, of course, while you're baking this. Remember, you do your crust first, then you do your eggs and your sugar, and then you mix your cream cheese and your sour cream, the cornstarch, the butter, and the lemon, and then we're ready to put it all together. All right, here we go. So now again, we're going to open this up. Okay. There we go. And we're going to pour it into the pan. And this is how we do it. We just pour it in, and all that crust stays solid and doesn't move, which is wonderful. If you didn't freeze it, what would happen is when you pour the liquid in, the custard in, it would go all over the place, and you don't want that. We always have some extra at the bottom here. So this is how it goes. And then you would put it into the oven. I got it all over me. Okay. Now I have the finished products already made. I want you to see what they look like. This is one. Homemade. Okay. This is another one, homemade. little one homemade. For those that don't have a big family, we even have little ones. Now, if you notice, the strawberries are coated. And how I do that is I get cornstarch and water, and what I first do is get water and I boil it, and then I slice up some strawberries, and I boil the strawberries, I dice them up in the water, and then I get a little cool water and I mix the cornstarch with cool water, and then I mix it into the strawberry mix, but I take the strawberries out, I mix it into the strawberry water, and then when the cornstarch is put in, I get each strawberry, and I just put each strawberry in that, and this is what we get. So they really came out really nice, and I hope you've enjoyed this session of baking, and that you will try my recipe, because I understand it's being photographed, which is, I'd like to share the recipe with everyone. And if you have any questions, we're on Facebook. Just Facebook Cheese Licious. Thank you.
Okay, and we're out.
What do you think?